Screech by TarynMcT. Read by Oakshadow5. Chapter 9. I still can't believe I got first place in the assessment test, Izuku exclaimed. I mean, yeah, I know I keep saying I'm strong, but I don't think I ever really believed it. Keigo and Izuku were flying around aimlessly, shortly after the sun had set. Keigo had wanted to know all about Izuku's first day of school, and Izuku had wanted to go flying. They had spent an hour just racing each other, doing all sorts of complicated aerial maneuvers, but now they were simply soaring, riding a breeze, not really going anywhere. Listen, Owlet, you're going to have to get this through your thick skull someday. You are amazing. Keigo sent one of his feathers to ruffle Izuku's hair. Hey! Izuku complained lightheartedly as he swiped at the feather. They were a fair distance apart, close enough for the raptor hearing to make conversation easy, but far enough so they couldn't collide in mid-air. There are so many talented students in my class, Izuku continued. There's this one girl who has super hearing, I think her quirk was called earphone jack. She has little jacks on the ends of her earlobes, and she can plug them into things, and she can even amplify her heartbeat into a massive sound wave. That does sound cool. You said super hearing, right? That'd be awesome for recon. Not enough heroes out there with sensory amplification quirks. Recon is starting to struggle. There are a few in my class alone who would be great at recon. There's the girl with the earphone jacks, but there's also an invisible girl, a boy with 6 arms, and he can replace the hands with other body parts, like extra eyes, ears, mouths, probably even noses. Another boy can talk to animals. Imagine sending in mice or birds to gather intelligence. Izuku did a quick barrel roll and got a bit closer to Keigo. My classmates really are awesome, Izuku started. I was thinking for a while that I couldn't compare to them. After a while though, and before Toshi even realized how I was feeling, I started to realize I was doing okay as well. I mean... Izuku paused for a moment, thinking, and then said, Ida has engines in his legs. He was able to finish the 50-meter dash in just over 3 seconds. Keigo whistled, impressed. I beat his time. Holy crap, Owlet! You've been holding out on me? That's amazing! Keigo exclaimed. We had an endurance run, and I tied with Yaoyorozu. She was able to create a bicycle, so she wasn't using much energy to do the run, and, well, owls are really good gliders, so I wasn't using much energy either. I got a slightly higher score than Shoji on the grip test, and he's got 6 arms. The only reason I didn't get first place on the ball throw, I got 874.2 meters, was because Uraraka has a zero gravity quirk and threw her ball into the stratosphere. We keep telling you, baby bird. Will you start listening to us now? Maybe, he muttered. Maybe you guys have a point. Izuku took a deep breath and started to turn back in the direction of where he lived with his new family. Keigo? Yeah, little chick? When do you think I can get a special license to go flying on my own? Keigo squawked in offense. You don't like flying with me anymore? Izuku laughed. No, it's not like that, you dumb pigeon. It's just, you're not available every night, and Zashi has been trying to find a self-care thing that helps me to relax. You know, like a bubble bath, or meditation, or essential oils, or video games, or something. You're a bird. The answer is kind of obvious, yeah? Man, is that hair fist to compensate for something? Keigo winced as Izuku shot the lightest screech possible at him, more of the equivalent of a smack upside the head. Okay, no teasing your dad, got it? Zashi is one of the best ever. He's my second favorite hero, and talking about him like that will drop you down from a number 3 to number... I don't know, but way lower than 3, Izuku pouted. Like gasp, my baby bird bro, I'm only number 3 to you, but we're both birds. Keigo darted in close to Izuku and grabbed him in a hug, causing them both to start dropping out of the sky. Izuku just gave him a deadpan look. Keigo, if we go splat, I'm going to torment you in the next life. Keigo laughed and let him go, both birds steadying their flight again. And no, you're not, nor have you ever been my favorite. That's always been Shota. Izuku glanced back to Keigo, contemplating if he wanted to say this next part or not, then decided why not. I was always told to act quirkless. I still wanted to be a hero, but I thought I had to be a quirkless one. Eraser had fights quirkless, basically. So I wanted to be like him. I started following him, just watching him work, long before you even made your debut. Actually, the only reason you're my number 3 is because you're a bub like me. Okay, I get why Eraser's your number 1, but why am I not number 2? Keigo pouted. Who's your number 2 if not me? Present Mike, da? Why him? He's not a burb. I don't care how much that hair fist makes him look like a cockatoo. He's not one. No, but he's got his voice. And his radio station. He does a lot of shows about crack discrimination. Izuku gives Keigo a meaningful side-eye. He also gives better hugs than you do. He does not, Keigo said indignantly. My hugs are big and comfy, and I also wrap you in my wings. I give the best hugs. Can he hug you in a free fall? I don't think so. Keigo shot forward to hug Izuku again, but Izuku laughed, and another game of aerial tag began. The next day was the normal school day. They started with homeroom and then quickly moved on to other academic classes. Izuku was impressed to see that his teachers were all as competent as Hisashi, as Mike-sensei was. Izuku had to constantly remind himself that he was Mike-sensei, not Hisashi, while at school. He thought it would be simple to differentiate the two, but a lot of his confidence lessons with Hisashi were with him in his hero outfit, so Izuku had started being able to see the bits of Hisashi that peeked out. But all of his teachers were just as good as Mike-sensei, and none of them treated him like a failure. They don't know you're a waste of space. Izuku winced slightly. It had been a while since he last heard the voice so clearly. Great. You'll always be useless. Why would you ever think to be rid of me? Maybe he'll try to call up his therapist after school. His next appointment isn't until Thursday, but maybe a quick call would help. Or he can always just talk to Toshi, while they wait for Shota and Zashi to finish their days. Don't be stupid. He would rather spend time with his boyfriend. You really want to deprive him of that? No, Izuku doesn't want to get in the way of that. Izuku realized he was starting to hunch into himself and actively sat back up. Hisashi had said that he should pay attention to his body language. When he portrays himself as weak and pathetic, he makes himself feel that way. Sitting up straight, shoulders back, a confident position, that can help to quiet the little voice in the back of his head. And it did. Izuku let out a small smile, a smile that got bigger when he noticed that Mike-sensei had noticed and was beaming at him with pride. He'll still call his therapist later today, but maybe he'll try to talk to Toshi if his therapist doesn't have time to chat. Battle trials. That's stupid. But at least he'll get to wear his hero costume. Shota helped him design it. Opening his case, Izuku grinned at the costume that was an upgraded version of his old vigilante outfit. He had a dark grey, long-sleeved armored shirt with a black and grey flight jacket, similar to Keigo's, but a tighter fit. He had a visor like Keigo's, since it was highly practical for a bird, but unlike Keigo's, his had a setting to dim or lighten to protect his light-sensitive eyes. Izuku also had fingerless gloves that had reinforced knuckles, and on his belt was a collapsible bow staff. His pants were black and tucked into his dark grey, steel-toed combat boots. The only weapon Izuku had on him was the staff, but with his talons, gloves, and Screech, Izuku wasn't sure he needed more. And if he did, well, Shota said he could always add more to the costume. He walked out to join the rest of the class and listened to AllMight introduce the activity. Toshi nudged Izuku. Is he actually reading from a script? He whispered. Izuku laughed lightly. Yeah, looks like it. Shoto hummed softly. He just said he's drawing partners by lots. Is that laziness, or is he doing it for the legitimate reasons of heroes sometimes needing to pair up with whoever is available? You're so pretty, Sho, Hitoshi teased, causing Izuku to giggle. That had been one of Izuku's favorite insults Shota would say to Zashi, and one that Hitoshi picked up. It went along the lines of, it's okay you're dumb, you're still pretty, and they only ever said it in jest. Everyone knew Shota and Hisashi were extremely smart. I think he didn't bother to read anyone's files, Izuku said quietly, and doesn't know anyone's names. This is his way of acting as if he knows what he's doing. Hitoshi nodded. Hopefully we don't get paired up with anyone too bad. Everyone is really cool though, Izuku said. I bet any of them would be a good person to be teamed up with. Well, he paused for a second. Anyone except Bakugo. When the names were picked, Izuku was a little bummed to see he was paired up with Uraraka. Well, okay, while he would rather be paired with either Hitoshi or Shoto, she wouldn't be a bad match. So it'll be fine. He was absently paying attention to the other pairs and felt a little bad for Ida when he was paired with Bakugo. That was going to be a rough match. He felt bad for whichever team ended up going against them. Bakugo won't listen to Ida. He already thinks he's a stuck-up idiot, so no matter what team they're up against, Ida's essentially going to be in the way of Bakugo. Oh, wonderful. So his team is going up against Bakugo's team. Great. Bakugo's going to kill him. At least you already know you're going to die. He probably won't go after Uraraka, just you. As Izuku walked over to his partner, he decided that this was probably one of those times he could, or rather should, be Screech. He's got 3 years of combat experience. He should be good. Screech is strong, No, wait. Keiko said not to talk about Screech as a separate person. He is Screech. Oh, Raka. Izuku walked up to his partner. Midoriya, let's do our best. She smiled brightly. Izuku gave her a small smile back. When we get started, Bakugou is going to come straight at me. He's going to expect us to walk in the front door. Okay, well, if we're going to go in the front door, should we split up? Izuku let loose the Cheshire grin he was starting to pick up from Shota. Who said we're going to go in from the front door? Yay, the battle trials, our next chapter. But also the rest of this chapter was really fun. Especially the first part with Keiko, that was so cute. But anyways guys, I hope you all enjoyed chapter 9 of Screech, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!